Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about Walking Dead's most impactful episode in this season, and I will also discuss why I believe this has to be the most disturbing one compared to its former. Like I said before, I don't do these episodes alone as I tag along a friend for these videos, and although you can't hear him, he also helps in making the decisions that are made as the story goes along. Since I'm doing season 2 as of now, I've been trying to get a recording of his voice, but for whatever reason, PlayStation just won't record him talking. If you guys know how to fix this issue, as I've done the most basic steps like turning on party chat audio, then leaving it down in the comments would be greatly appreciated. With all that said, this of course has spoilers, but you should already know this game is a decade old. Let's get started. The game starts with Kenny and Lee looking for more medicine and food as we're still running low. And I don't know if it's just me, but it always seems to be Kenny and Lee doing the most work in scouting. I don't see Lily or Ben do anything, but that's a discussion for another day. Lee and Kenny found the pharmacy that they were held up in the first episode and found that the military really did came, but they went down like everyone else. The helicopter somehow crashed onto the store, and I want to say this, how the hell did this helicopter crash? There's no way that a walker was on that vehicle and took out the people in there when these zombies don't know how to jump or even run. This is information that I need because it's a question that I don't see anyone asking. Kenny gets boosted on top of this trailer and he tries to lift Lee up, but due to his gunshot wound from last episode, he drops Lee. This creates some noise that scares them both, but nothing happens. Kenny apologizes and they both discuss how Lily is losing it and the truck is almost done with its repairs. He even talks about how Doug seems to be getting affected by the things around him as the St. John seems to really put a dent onto him. Clementine gets brought up by Kenny, asking if she hates him for stealing the stuff from the car. Kenny overall wants the children to understand that it was for the better as their survival is what they need to look after. Lee eventually finds his way up to the trailer, but then screaming can be heard. Speculations of it being a walker gets shut down quickly as a decrepit looking woman comes running in, screaming at the top of her lungs, alerting all the walkers nearby. We have a chance to end her misery as we see the woman getting bit by multiple walkers. So the decision here is to either kill her to end her misery, or to leave her be so we can have more time to loot the pharmacy. My friend and I both agreed that getting more loot like it was a Fortnite lobby is more important, so as we were looting each shelves, the woman can still be heard outside. Eventually the screams goes quiet, and she's gone, but we get everything in the store. The walkers finds us and we got trapped under a door, but Kenny saves us. We eventually make our way out and we headed back to the motel. It looks run down a bit since bandits have been attacking us now, but we keep it pushing. We handed the supplies to Lily and an argument between her and Kenny commenced. Kenny kinda throws us under the bus saying how leaving the woman alive was the first smartest thing we've done, which is like, there is two what the fucks here. Kenny, firstly, why did you have to say that this was my first? I helped you kill a woman's death and that of itself wasn't the smartest idea coming from you. And secondly, why did you have to call me out by saying that I made the decision to do it? You were an active participant, you wanted that girl to not get the mercy kill too. Well anyways, Lily is sickened by it as she's realizing that humanity is slowly losing touch with the world and blows up in our faces. She states that supplies are being stolen and her trust in the group starts to dwindle every day. She wants her privacy and we headed out the room. Whilst everyone leaves, Carly tags along with Lee and talks to us out on the balcony. This is pretty much our chance to flirt with Carly and we take the chance, but Carly primarily wants to talk about the people knowing of Lee's past. Her reason for it is so we can not only build a stronger trust in the group, but to also not risk a chance of Lily blowing up in our faces and revealing the truth about our criminal misdeed. After we agreed that it should happen, Lee got a kiss. Hell yeah, Lee. We got this shit unlocked. After we're done here, you gotta take a shower because I know everyone here fucking stinks. Alright, well, there isn't any hot showers, but still, I know all that scouting made your ass dirty. We decided to tell everyone, but we forgot to tell Lily, and the funny thing is, I never once told Lily ever. Like in my playthrough way back, I never knew that Lily was an option until I watched Berlizzi play this game after we finished the season, and it kind of blew my mind that I didn't even know that was an option. But we had one more person to tell and that was Kenny, and his reaction to telling him about us going to prison is priceless.
3 months ago.
No shit.
No shit.
It wasn't for touching kids, was it?
Man.
What? I gotta ask.
After that hilarious exchange, we tell Carly and she's happy about it, and can feel like we can be trusted even more. We then go to Lily to talk about what she said about stolen supplies. She found a broken flashlight that was laying about and explains that we don't throw stuff away, we'd at least try to fix it. And this is true, especially with Kenny trying to fix the RV at the moment. We wouldn't want to throw away valuable items. We go to investigate and then Doug comes out of nowhere trying to get himself involved. We try to shoo him away, but he won't budge, so fuck me, why did I put the big fucking words in here? We try to shoo him away, but he won't budge, so we reluctantly, thank you guys, oblige. We asked around if they knew about the flashlight, but no one seems to know about it, except for Katja. She said that she saw the broken flashlight losing glass that she meant to clean up, but forgot to. We explore it and find an X on a wall written in pink chalk. The only person that we know has chalk is our girl, Clementine. So even though we didn't want to think it was her, we had to find out. Come to find out, she doesn't even have any, and was looking for it, even though it was right there. But anyways, besides the reused assets, she doesn't have it. However, Duck finds a trail of pink chalk going outside. We go out and follow the trail and find medicine inside of a vent. Not just any medicine, but ours. Someone was actually giving away our shit, and now we need to find out who. We go to Lily and we start talking. But before we could take action, the bandits ambushed us. I don't know how the fuck Ben let that slide, but his blind ass got us in a hostage situation. So Lily tells me to distract him and we try to hash it out with them so that no one gets hurt. Lily then takes the shot, killing the main man himself, and we are now at war. We start blasting at them, walkers are intervening, and now Kenny's starting up the RV. We get everyone inside one by one. A walker pounces on Ketchup, Duck, and Clementine, but we took the shot and saved them. Lily eventually makes her way into the RV, and now our supplies, our home, is gone. If we were shit out of luck before, now we're in an even worse situation. Lily starts accusing people of being thieves and working with the bandits, which is why they came in busting asses. She blames Carly, then Ben, but before she could get anything out of him, basically scaring the shit out of him, Kenny hits a walker, and now we have to stop to get it out. Now this is where our worst situation starts to hit the fan at Mach speed, because Lily is getting angrier by the second, and there's no way to calm her down. Before we could calm the situation down, Carly steps in.
You think you're some tough bitch, don't you? Like nothing can hurt you, but you're just a scared little girl. Get the fuck over it. Take a page from Lee's book and try helping somebody for once.
Well,
Now,
See
what
the
the
tape.
fuck's the problem?
We leave her. Why would we bring Lily after what she did? Not only did she kill Carly in cold blood, but she tried to throw Lee under the bus. But everyone already knew thanks to Carly's persuading us. We drive away, leaving Lily to defend herself on the road with walkers getting closer. Katja calls us over with, oh my god, we can't catch a goddamn break because it's some bad news. Duck is bit. It happened during the raid when Lee tried to save Cat, Duck, and Clem, and now they aren't sure what's gonna happen. They're trying their best to stay positive, but from their faces, you could tell they can't hold it all in. Katja wants Lee to tell Clem the news, so we did. Clem is upset of course, but we try to help her get better by telling her a bit about Lee and his funny stories. Things get quiet for a bit, but then all of a sudden, Clem turns into a goddamn walker, just straight out of nowhere. But before we could question anything else, we wake up. It was just a nightmare. The funny part about this clip is that my friend almost had a heart attack because he completely forgot about this scene and legit thought that Clem died. Kenny stops the RV because a train is in the way, and now we have to find a way to either go past it or maybe even use the train to our advantage. Duck is getting worse by the minute, but Kenny doesn't want to hear any of it and just wants to keep pushing towards Savannah. We enter the front of the train, and after a bit of a scare of a corpse, Ben tells us to press a button. It was the brakes, and now we know that the train is operational. We find a map that tells us that the train is heading to the direction of Savannah, and that makes Kenny excited. We have to get the train powered up and unstuck, and after everything is done, we went out to go tell the others. But then a man comes out of nowhere. We get startled at first, but he's actually not a creep, but a pretty cool guy. His name is Chuck, and he's already introduced himself to the group. He's a homeless man just living on the train and doesn't really mind us using him, especially since he's been homeless for basically a decade. Wherever his family is, he isn't too concerned since he's more focused on himself. But now we get to head out and take the train, leaving the RV behind. We're making good progress, but then Katja calls us over again. Duck is getting worse. She knows his time is coming, and Kat needs us to persuade Kenny to stop the train. Lee agrees, and now he's face to face with Kenny. well, I guess face the back because he does not want to listen. We keep telling him that he needs to stop and that the boy is dying. We even show him a napkin with his son's blood on it to show proof, but he doesn't want to. He even makes the train go faster to show his determination to get to Savannah. We then realize that the reason for his ignorance is because he still blames himself for the death of Sean back in episode 1, and he can't let it go. So for him to try to come to terms that Duck will turn is hard on Kenny. We avoided a fight and persuaded him to stop the train. He's heartbroken, but he knows that Duck needs him more than ever. Katja and Kenny talk it over. Kenny is still in the delusion that they could save their son, but Katja shuts it all down. She knows that he loves their son, and how his existence means the world to both her and Kenny, but to believe that he can be saved is foolish. They want to put him out of his misery, so that he can no longer suffer. My friend and I wanted to do it for them, as we believe that no parent should ever have to put down their own kid. But they both agreed that it should be the parents doing the job. Clementa asked us what's going to happen to Duck, and we let her know that they were making sure he won't suffer anymore. It's a pretty bad scene. Hell, every time I think about it, even when I'm typing out this script, it gives me goosebumps. For Duck, a kid, to be killed off is not only shocking, but heart-wrenching. This could be anyone's kid in a zombie apocalypse. You like to believe that you're invincible, but when a friend or family gets hurt, your life starts to crumble. We heard a gunshot, but Kenny screamed no. Something isn't right. Lee runs to Kenny and Katja, but he finds Duck still alive and Kat dead. With Kenny murmuring, we put the pieces together. Katja couldn't handle the fact that Duck was going to leave the world, so she took herself out, with Duck and Kenny still there. Kenny is now at an all-time low. He lost his wife, and now he's about to lose his son. He doesn't know what to do, and if he should even be the one to finish the job. But like the best friend we are, we told Kenny that we should do it. Lee looks at Duck with sadness in his eyes, and saved him from all the pain he was feeling. Kenny is shattered. He lost his family in one day. Hell, all under 5 minutes. Now the only thing he has left is a goal of finding a boat in Savannah. We're back on the train, and now the group shrunk to just 5 people, compared to the 10 we had in episode 2. Now we only have Lee, Clementine, Kenny, Ben, and now Chuck. We go to Clementine to comfort her about the situation, and that is when she tells us that Chuck told her she's going to end up the same way that Duck died. Pissed, of course, we go up to square up with Chuck because he isn't going to say some stupid shit like that towards our girl. We told him to explain himself and why he said that to a little girl. And not gonna lie guys, he did cook here. He explains that with the way we've been handling things and how Lee is treating Clementine like a little girl and not a survivor, she's gonna end up dead if she isn't taught the fundamentals like cutting her hair short to keep the walkers from grabbing it and teaching her how to shoot a gun. And he's right. And even though what he said was kinda fucked up, he isn't wrong. So we get the map real quick by giving Kenny and Chuck a drink and go to Clem. But then, with Ben just chilling on the side of the train, looking at us as we enter the other car of the train, he spills the beans.
Damn nemesis.
It was me.
Oh,
Huh?
I was the one giving the bandits supplies.
What?
you're the reason why Carly died. I could have had her. She was mine. I had it unlocked.
It's all my fault.
Yes, it is.
It all makes sense now. He explains that if it wasn't for him, giving the bandits the medicine and other stuff we had, the bandits would have kept attacking us. So to help us out, he gave them supplies to get them off our back. But it all backfired. He knows that his doing got Kenny's family killed and it got Carly murdered for defending everyone from Lily. This was unacceptable. He got 4 people out of the group, whether it was due to the killing of Lily, being left behind, and getting Duck bit. He has a lot of blood on his hands. We threatened him. We were going to push his skinny ass off of this train, but Lee doesn't have it in him to do it. We tell this man to fuck off and we go to Clementine. We explain to her about what Chuck meant and how we want to be sure that she doesn't end up like a walker. So first, we cut her hair short. Now with her signature look of her pigtails, we teach her how to shoot a gun. Although she didn't want to do it at first and she messed up a few times, we got her to understand how to shoot a gun and she's becoming a survivor very fast. Then we pull up a map of Savannah to give her the rundown of what the plan should be and how we're going to find her parents. She finds out that the hotel they stay at is at the Marsh house and now we have a plan to set in motion. After everything was good to go, You guys won't believe the bullshit we got. Bad news times 20. Somehow, someway, a fuel tank is hanging off of a bridge right in front of the train. Kenny is pissed, of course, but Ben made it worse with this horrible idea.
We could walk. That's fucking stupid, Ben. I'm just saying.
After that hilarious exchange, two new people introduced themselves. Krista and Omid were going to walk by like nothing happened, but they were caught off guard with the train. They were even psyched to see Clementine as they haven't seen a kid in months. Well, Omid was excited, not so much for Krista as she's keeping her guard up, and that's understandable. After the shit we've been through, I'd stay on my toes too. After the introduction with everyone, we tried to make a plan to cut the tanker down so we could get it out of the way. Me and Clem head into a building, and after some close calls with some walkers, we got something to cut that tanker down. Krista enters the building and sees the aftermath and she questions us. We tell her that we handled it and to get off our ass because we ain't dead yet. After we got back up on the bridge to cut the tanker, we started making some progress. But then the tanker almost sideswipes us off of this bridge. But due to Omid's spider senses, Lee got saved. But now the tanker is too far from our reach, so we hold Omid over the edge of the bridge so he could cut the rest of it. All of a sudden, Ben sees something in the distance. It was getting louder and louder. A horde of walkers was heading our way and there's over hundreds of them. We're now getting rushed to hurry with the cutting and it finally goes down, but it takes out our only way of getting down on the bridge. Their train is moving and we need to jump on top of it. Omid is scared, but we eventually jumped off of the bridge. Lee makes it safely, but Omid busted his leg.
You stay here and we'll go with your lady.
The hell you will.
Damn!
Krista saw it happen and goes to save her boyfriend. Now the decision is to either save Omid or Krista, but either or doesn't matter as they both make it anyways. But we went for Omid since he has a busted leg. We escaped from the hundreds of walkers and now we're in Savannah. Clementine is sleeping and Lee and Kenny are suddenly celebrating the little hope they have. But before the episode ends, something unexpected happens. The walkie-talkie that was believed to be broken on Clem's person is working and a man speaks through it, waiting for her to reach Savannah so she can meet her parents. Now someone is waiting for her, someone we never met before, and now the little light we had at the end of the tunnel gets a little bit dim. So this episode is full of surprises and misdirections, and most of these surprises is all on Ben. Let's talk about it. So we can all agree that Ben's plan is borderline really stupid, because there's two flaws that comes with it, with us experiencing one of them. The first flaw is, of course, us finding out that someone robbed us and putting our lives at risk. Even if the plan was working and we weren't getting attacked by bandits, if the deal doesn't happen because we couldn't get enough supplies that they demanded, or we find out what's going on, this would hurt us not only at the moment but in the long run. This leads to Lily's downward spiral of losing trust in everyone, which then leads to Carly getting killed. And not only that, walkers came through the walls and took a chomp on Duck. Even though he didn't expect for Ketchup to end it all right in front of Kenny and Duck, he has a lot of blood on his hands. Now for the second flaw. If we didn't somehow find out that supplies were missing and the deal was going as smoothly, there would have been a time in which we would run out of supplies and not have anything to survive, or even the bandits coming through the motel believing that everyone was in on the deal when it was only Ben who knew about it. This would have caused major problems, but we don't know how severe that problem would have been. Although this plan was extremely dumb, I have to back him up a little bit here. Just like what I said in my last video, Ben is like us, as we would have wanted to find a way to stop the bandits from raiding us. He's more human here than in any other episode, and I see us and Ben making stupid decisions and overall fucking up. Now the little hints that he left behind before the reveal that it was him who gave supplies to the bandits is noticeable. Like him stuttering when he was getting pressured by Lily, him talking about putting up to a vote, to then going against the idea. Ben gets cut off when he was going to reveal it was him by a walker getting ran over, and him basically losing his mind when Lily kept pressuring him when they were outside on the road. The reveal is shocking, and even though I knew it was him, it was still something that would get me upset because he got too many people hurt and even killed. I would say that Ben's role here does go downhill right as we escape from the bandits, since he starts to feel guilty about everything that occurred, especially with Kenny not knowing that Ben got his family killed. This will lead to his downward spiral in his mental health when he wants to do better for the group. Now, even though I am defending him here, this is probably the only time I will help him out because besides him trying to help, he is a dumbass that doesn't think first and should get called out for it. Now for Lily. This is pretty much the worst episode for her, as even though what she's saying is right and as someone has to take accountability for almost killing them for so long, her outright killing Carly is too much. The worst part is, if you saved Doug instead, Doug is chill and is trying to calm the situation down. But instead of her trying to kill Carly, she tries to kill Ben. And you can see her gun tracing his head, but then accidentally killing Doug because he pushed Ben out of the way. Although it's a freak accident, she still had the intent of killing someone, especially someone as young as a teenager. So either way you look at it, it's murder. I don't know why anyone wouldn't kick her out after that. But she wouldn't even take the RV and drive away if you kept her and find the train. Lily is at a point in time of the story where her mental health is at an all-time low and her trust in people dwindles down to 0. Hell, even if you told her along with everyone about your past and how you murdered someone because you're putting her trust in her, that she'd understand your situation, she would use that as leverage to throw you under the bus when she murders someone then and there. This episode is full of fucked up shit that Lily can and will do to you. Even though I respect her for trying her hardest to stay sane and to help the group, the way she handled things and eventually snapping, and with that snap resulting in a death, how could I not call her a horrible person and a horrible teammate? If things ever went against her, she'd try to throw someone under the bus to protect her ass or even killing you if you pissed her off. I think she has some goods in this episode, like shooting the bandits to protect her people, and her loyalty shows there. And her trying to snuff out the thief I agree with, but how she handled it and the outcome that came with it is a big no-no. Kenny in this episode doesn't really have a lot going on besides losing his family. Sure, he does kind of diss you in the beginning for no reason, I will say, but besides that, he just becomes delusional after Doug gets bit. Well, I don't know about delusional, but his character does show here, and with him still holding Sean's death against himself, and believing that the bite wouldn't do anything does make things worse for him mentally. Hell, if you don't even do anything to make him stop the train, he'd lock you out of the front of the train, and you get a secret death in which Doug kills not only Katja and Clementine, but basically everyone that isn't Kenny.
Hey!
Ah, here we go.
Emmett, Kitty, open this door!
Just a little content.
We're gonna make another video.
Look,
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm gonna get out the call. Oh, John, let me know.
But after Katja's death, this is pretty much the most heartbreaking scene we'd get from Kenny. You'll never see Kenny this emotional after this, especially since his son is still there. He does become a bit more sassy and even angry after this, but you could understand why. Although Doug is never talked about in my videos, I did want to talk about him a little bit. Doug never really had an important role in The Walking Dead, and I think it's kind of a shame. The most he's gotten to something important was when he was used as a hostage by Andy in the second episode. But before that, and even after episode 2, he doesn't really do anything. You could say he helps with finding out the mystery of the missing supplies, but for the most part, Lily already had it covered. I wish he had some form of role like Clementine's, as she gives Lee some form of striving goal. But for Doug, he's just there. Kenny admits that he isn't so bright, and Lee could even see how annoying he is with him wanting to be a detective so bad. The one thing I will say is that his death was a reminder to not just the group but to the players that no one is safe. Kids are on the menu too. And the shocking because you don't see a lot of games back in the day that showed kids being killed or getting majorly hurt, except for games like Last of Us. Omid and Krista, I believe, are a great addition to the group. Chuck as well. But compared to these two, Chuck taught Lee an important lesson, and that lesson would mold Clementine to the young woman we know today. Lee teaching Clementine how to shoot a gun and to cut her hair is very crucial, and it builds this great bond between these two. It's actually one of my favorite parts in this game, as this is the most they've ever talked to each other and worked together as a team. Chuck, although the way he said it was pretty messed up, is straightforward and is pretty respectable for it. Omi and Krista came near the end of the episode, so there isn't really anything to talk about here besides their personality being great for this episode. Now, if you have noticed, I left 2 people out until now for my opinions, 2 of which being dead. First one I want to talk about is Carly, and how crucial her role was here. Compared to the first 2 episodes, she was there more as not just a protector, since she's the one with the gun most of the time, but as well as taking the neutral position in any form of arguments or conversations. She thinks ahead, she's calculated, but she also cares about what is said and what's going on. Since the beginning, she has known about Lee's criminal case and is neutral about his past. Carly cares about it to know that Lee could be a threat to the group, but to also understand the benefit that Lee has since he has experience in hurting others, even if the context behind his reason is due to anger. In the second episode, she brings it up again to see who knows about it and expresses to Lee that he should let the others know eventually, since they're at a point in time where it doesn't matter. Then finally in the third episode, it's brought up again, but this time it is actually important since the trust that the people will have of each other is getting weak. So to make sure that Lee doesn't get backstabbed or even get mistrusted, Carly wants him to finally share his past. Doing so actually works, and although the group is shocked, they understand that it's been months and that it doesn't matter anymore. Except for one person, but I'll get to that in a bit. Not telling anyone is actually detrimental, as Lily brings it up regardless if you tell her or not, and the others would feel uncomfortable and even betrayed that this wasn't told to them. But if you do tell everyone, especially Kenny, shuts Lily down and states that he knows and that it doesn't matter. What matters now is that Lily killed someone now, which is a huge backfire on her. Carly's death was extremely unfortunate, as her calling Lily out was a huge moment, and although rude, a lot of what she said is true. But the thing about her death is that it felt too soon. She had a lot of potential that was now wasted, but I actually don't mind this here. My reason being is that in a world like The Walking Dead, anything can happen. Even the most calculated and talented person will soon fall one way or another. And sometimes the way they die is either unexpected or outright depressing, as we want them to survive to the end. The best part about this game is how there's a theme with each episode. Our enemies in the first episode are of the walkers. In the second one, it's people. But in the third episode, the enemies are ourselves and the people we trust. Speaking of enemies being ourselves, let's get to Katja. Katja was mostly in the background in this episode, just like any other, really. But this one is the most depressing episode for Katja. Since the beginning, she saw life as she know it fall apart in front of her eyes like everyone else. However, what kept her going was the fact that she still had her family. But when the second episode rolls around, she starts to see something change in her husband. His demeanor changes drastically to what she was comfortable with, and the man she knew and loved wasn't there. When Lee goes to tell Katja about the criminal history, she actually doesn't care about his past. She wanted to know what happened in the meat locker on the St. John's farm.
I was on my way to prison 3 months ago.
You've always looked at me with kind eyes. I wonder if you could still do that if you knew I was a convicted felon.
My goodness, for what? How much trouble can a teacher get into?
Well, plenty.
Yeah, history
Nothing to
teacher.
do with that.
So she suspected that too.
He and my wife,
That's enough. Tell me what happened when you were locked in the fridge at the dairy.
Oh, so she doesn't really care. Yeah, but she might as well learn it. Yeah, she might as well know.
I held Lily back, and Kenny made sure Larry didn't get up.
Like she deserves
do?
to know.
He smashed his head in.
I feel bad for Kat.
Because she knows that Kenny did something that he isn't telling her. If you tell her or if you don't, she'd be upset regardless, but she knows that the Kenny she knew changed. Then on top of that, she lost all hope when she found out that her only son is dying slowly. So much so that she didn't want to live anymore. This part is controversial in my opinion, as I'm not sure how to feel about Katja killing herself and leaving Kenny to fend himself in a world that's eating itself. You can understand why she's upset and why she felt as if the world around her is gone, but to leave your husband alone with their dying son is cruel. This broke Kenny, and no one would know how to handle the fact that their partner left them so suddenly. Anyone would have felt betrayed. This was a horrible scene to see after everything that has happened, and I wish Katja got more of the spotlight, but if anyone was going to be a missed potential, it's definitely her. Overall, this in my opinion is the darkest episode of all time. I know episode 2 exists, but it doesn't come close to this one. It reveals people's going through a dark time and how it can affect not just themselves but onto others around them. It shows how one mistake can mean death to someone that you can care about and how anything can happen if you aren't careful. Even if this episode has a lot of dark moments, I believe the storytelling in here is at its best. And the one thing that I found cool about it is the little things you could find that make you laugh or even question what's going on. Like for example, Duck was supposed to be alive in this episode. Don't believe me? Look at the thumbnail of the 3rd episode. He's outside of the window having the time of his life. But that's all I have for today. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Comment down your favorite part about this episode or what shocked you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe and stay hydrated.